Hey guys, so today we're talking about why I bought the Canon EOS M50 for video. So just to give you guys a little context, I'm a videographer. I shoot anything and everything from weddings to ads to social media, Instagram stories, which by the way, you should follow me on Instagram. Link is in the description. Check out my Instagram stories. So I wanted a camera that was portable and could give me some solid results. So the camera that I have been using is the Canon 650D, otherwise known as the Rebel T4i. This camera is such a good camera for anyone who's starting out. I could not recommend it anymore. Great for learning your settings, what they do. Just a great base to start off at a really affordable price while getting some pretty solid results. Also being a camera that's been out for a while, getting accessories for this thing is super easy and super affordable as well. So there are a few things I wanted out of a camera. First is having the ability to shoot at 1080p Full HD at 50 frames a second. So I live in Australia, we shoot in PAL instead of NTSC, so we get 50 frames a second instead of 60. Next thing that was a must-have for me was a flip-out screen. Once you've owned a camera with a flip-out screen, it is almost impossible to go back. Not only do I want to do a lot of vlogging with this camera, but just having the ability to shoot in tight spaces where you may not be able to get behind the camera. You can fold out the screen however you like, always look at your screen square on and be able to frame your shot with ease. That to me is just such a good feature to have. Also, another thing I wanted was dual pixel autofocus. I've used this feature before on other cameras and it is just such a handy tool to have. On my 650D, I was trying to vlog with manual focus and I was always missing focus. You only have to move your arm just a little bit further away from yourself or a bit closer and you're already out. So having dual pixel autofocus where it can track your face and you don't have to worry about that, it is just such a huge time saver for me and it saves me probably half my takes. And of course, the camera also had to fit within my budget. Now with that being said, that left me with 3 cameras. First, we have the 60 Mark II, the 80D, and the Canon M50. They are all Canons. I was probably never going to leave Canon. Panasonic and Sony did offer some very good alternatives that made it very tempting to convert over. But Canon is just what I love the most. I love its menu system, I love its colors, I'm just so comfortable and familiar with it. I know my way around a Canon camera very easily. Most of the people that I have worked with in the industry mostly use Canons. I have used Red, Blackmagic, and a Sony here and there, but Canon's just my bread and butter. So the first camera we have is a 60 Mark II. Great camera, meets all my requirements, and it's full frame, which to me is a massive pro. Now there is a trade-off to that. It does come at a premium of an extra $800 to $1,000 Australian in comparison to the 80D and the M50. Now to me, full frame is such a good perk to have, but I just couldn't justify spending the extra money just for having a full frame camera. Next we have the 80D. This is a camera I actually nearly got. It's a camera that most vloggers use, it meets all my requirements, and it also shoots in all-eye compression, whereas the 60 Mark II can only shoot in IPB compression. Now to me, that's not such a big deal. I haven't found the difference to be that dramatic between compressions, but when you are spending an extra $800 to $1,000 on a camera, you would expect them to at least keep that feature with the 60 Mark II, but Canon just does what they want. And last of all, we have the camera that I did get, the Canon EOS M50. I actually disregarded this camera in the beginning, just because being a mirrorless camera meant I had to get new glass, not realizing that Canon made an adapter for this camera to fit your EF lenses on there. So this is the adapter that you can get made by Canon. It is your standard EF mount to your mirrorless EF-M mount with my nifty 50 on there. So there goes that argument. Also, when using this adapter, you don't lose any of the features of your lenses. So you keep your autofocus and you keep your image stabilization. But also just being a mirrorless camera, I was already standoffish from it just because I'm unfamiliar with them and I hadn't used them before. But after doing my research into it and seeing the footage that could come out of this camera, I was impressed. Again, it has everything I want out of a camera. Shoots full HD at 50 frames, has a flip out screen, has dual pixel autofocus, and on top of that, it shoots at 120 frames at 720p, and also it shoots in 4K at 25 frames. Again, those features to me weren't the be all and end all. I wasn't looking for that in a camera, but just having those features to me is just such a cool luxury to have. Now, when you are shooting in super slow-mo or in 4K, you do lose a dual pixel autofocus. So what Canon has has done is they've given us focus peaking, which to me is such a cool feature. It's something that I've only seen in the higher tier cameras that I've worked with, so being able to have that on this camera is just such a huge plus. Usually when I am shooting cinematic B-roll or slow-mo stuff, I am shooting in manual focus anyways. Because for me, the dual pixel autofocus is more for stuff like this or for vlogging, where I'm not able to stand behind the camera and operate the focus manually. Just being able to tap on your screen what you want in focus and have it track is just such a cool feature. Now when you are shooting in 4K, there is a further 1.5 to 1.6 crop on top of your already APS-C 1.6 crop, which for me isn't such a big deal. Again, I don't want to do any 4K vlogging. Most of the stuff that I shoot is for social media, so most likely you're going to be looking at it on one of these, which again, 4K on a screen this big isn't going to make a huge difference. Instead, what I've done from time to time is actually use the 4K crop to my advantage by getting extra reach. So for example, the 50mm that I had that you saw earlier, on your standard APS-C camera is already a focal length equivalent of about 80mm. Now add that 4K crop on top of that and you're getting an equivalent focal length of around 120mm. Now getting that focal length out of your cheap 50mm lens at f1.8 in 4K is just such good value. Also, the M50 shoots stills at 24.1 megapixels, whereas the 650D shoots at 18 megapixels, so I have seen an improvement in the details of my images. Now the M50 runs a Digic 8 processor. This is the latest processor out by Canon, and the M50 is the first camera to have it. Since then, we have had the EOS R, which is also rocking this processor, which just means it's better in low light, got faster processing, and all that good stuff. Now another thing I love about this camera is its size. It is so small and so light. I couldn't believe the results I could get out of such a compact camera. Now what I love about that is that when you are out and about shooting, whether it's vlogging or run and gun, the lighter your camera is, usually the better. Like when you are vlogging, the camera does get heavy after a while. Even on my 650D on my Joby, it doesn't take long for it to really weigh down on your arm and you start to feel the burn, let alone a bigger 80D or an even bigger full frame camera like your 6D Mark II. Also, the bigger your camera, the more attention you draw to yourself, which I just don't like. And of course, for traveling purposes, the lighter your gear is, the more you can carry. Now another thing I love about this camera is its wireless capabilities. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so you can dump all your images and footage on your computer wirelessly or on your phone as well. Now on top of that, through Canon's app that you can use to connect to your camera wirelessly in order to dump your images, you can also use it as a remote. So right here we have some camera reception happening where I literally have a live feed wirelessly to my phone, but also I can actually control the settings on my camera. So right now I can change my ISO and turn it up as high as I want and completely blow myself out. And now I can't remember what ISO I was on. There we go. Sweet. So yeah, such a cool feature to have. Change my settings remotely, hit record remotely, or even take photos remotely as well. And last but not least, of course, is the price point. This camera retails for around 800 to 900 Australian, the 80D retails for around 1100 to 1200 Australian, and the 6D Mark II retails for around 2 grand Australian at the time of this video. So for a camera that has all the specs that this does, and the portability, and the price point, I just couldn't pass it up. And being a lot cheaper, it's made a lot of room in my budget to buy extra accessories for this camera. Like this lens adapter that you saw earlier, I got extra batteries, I got an ND filter, I even got another lens, and I got a small rig cage for this camera. So they're all things that you can even forget to take into account when buying a camera kit because you're so focused on making sure you have the right specs in the body of your camera. Now I will go into detail in future videos explaining why I bought each part of my kit and what role it plays. So that's it. I hope it doesn't come across that I'm hating on these other cameras or other brands. That's not what I'm trying to do. To be honest, I don't want you buying this camera because I got it, or it's because what I said or what someone else has said. Instead, do what I did in the beginning. Think about what you do as a videographer or a photographer. Think about the specs you need out of a camera in order to execute that. Now from there, you can grab all the cameras that meet specifications, weigh up your pros and cons, and then choose for yourself. So that's it from me. I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope you got something out of it. If you did like this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. If you don't, Hit subscribe anyway, you might like the videos I put out in the future. What's there for you to lose? Just do it anyway because you're a nice person and you want to help a brother out. Alright, bye.